Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Shadowing and Networking webinar hosted by the Pre-Health and Pre-Law Advising Center. Before we get into today's presentation, we want to keep a friendly reminder that for privacy purposes, please turn off your cameras and mic. Type any questions you may have in the chat feature, and Michael or I will be asking our panelists the questions that you would like to ask. And just a reminder, the event will be recorded, but all attendee information will be kept confidential. So without further ado, we would like to welcome our panelists for today. We have Michelle Tagorda Kama, who is an undergraduate advisor for the Office of Public Health, and Aaron Joyle from the Pre-Health Career Corps.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides here. Hi, everyone. Welcome. And thank you for the opportunity for me to be able to share with you folks some information about networking and why it's important. So I'll be going over this content first, and then Aaron will be going over shadowing in the second part of today's workshop. So as Casey mentioned, I'm Michelle Tagorda Kama. So I currently am an academic advisor with the Office of Public Health Study in the Thompson School of Social Work and Public Health. But being here today is actually really special for me because when I was an undergraduate student, so way back when, I was actually a PAC peer advisor. And so being able to come back and meet with you folks, share information with you folks is really a treat for me. And then I've also been part of different organizations on our campus, including the Health Careers Opportunity Program with our Student Equity Excellence and Diversity Office. So just additional resources for folks to be in the know about, and a little bit of the different affiliations I've had that I come with to meet with you with today. Okay, so let's talk about what is networking. So when we think about networking, it's thinking about talking to people who help you progress toward your goals. So networking really is the process of developing your personal contacts. And that's by doing that, it's really to help advance your career exploration and really finding individuals who may be able to help you in your career goals. So looking for jobs or internships or shadowing opportunities as well. So there's different types of networking that can occur. So there's two types that I'll go over: spontaneous and structured networking. So when we talk about spontaneous networking, this is the networking that can come from more informal interactions or settings. And so these are really opportunities that may not have been planned, right? They're spontaneous. So these are good opportunities that come up maybe when there's gatherings. And I know during this pandemic, it's a little bit of it's a little bit of a struggle to be able to have these types of family gatherings, or maybe gatherings with clubs and guest speakers, right? Other examples of spontaneous networking can occur during colloquiums, or when there are workshops or guest speakers that are put on by departments or organizations. This can also happen when there's gatherings of groups of folks that come together for a common cause, whether that's health fairs, orientation fairs, different types of mixers where maybe folks coming together with similar interest areas, right? So all of these are opportunities where you could make connections with people in a more informal, again, spontaneous way. Also volunteer activities, organizations, not only where students are there, but maybe other nonprofit organizations are volunteering as well. That's another way where you could have a spontaneous interaction. So this is very effective in being able to, chat with individuals, get to know people in a less, intimidating way. So these spontaneous gatherings, opportunities is helpful if you are worried about, being overly prepared or You folks are there on common grounds and have things to talk about. So just keep in mind about, when these spontaneous opportunities do arise, it's good to have something prepared, maybe a few sentences about yourself that you're able to be able to comfortably share with somebody about who you are, what your interests are, and maybe the different ways that this person could support you moving forward. And we'll talk a little bit about getting ready with that 2 to 3 sentence kind of about yourself in a little bit. Okay, the second type of networking that can occur is structured. So this is a more formal networking strategy. And this is where you set up a informational interview with an individual, right? And a chance to be able to get to know that person, get to know about their career field, what interests them, things that you can learn from to help you in your career journey and your preparation for professional programs and beyond. And so structured networking typically looks like a scheduled meeting conducted maybe over Zoom, over the phone, in person, if both parties are comfortable doing so. And this is where you as a student would have a series of questions where you would like to learn more about the career field, the individual, and really get advice about your journey and how to best prepare for your next steps. So just keeping in mind how there are opportunities to find these networking spontaneously, or you can seek them out yourself and schedule these informational interviews as well. So LinkedIn is a great avenue. If folks haven't already created an account, I suggest that you do. And you can set up informational interviews with people that you connect on that platform as well. Okay, so why is networking important? So when networking is really this opportunity to meet people, make connections, really expand the opportunities that you have. So making these connections allows you to get to know others, get to know their work, get some advice from them. Getting to meet people can also help you identify potential mentors, which can help you in your professional and personal development as well. Overall, it's really looking for people that you can connect with in different ways, on different levels, and being able to share who you are and what you hope to accomplish, and being able to find those people that can support you in your future career, future goals, short and long-term goals as well. So it's important to build this network early, because these are folks that can really help you in different stages of your development as well. So other reasons why networking is important, right? It's helping you get a better understanding of the career, of the field, about the process, about being able to get to the professional program and into those careers. It allows you to also establish relationships. And that's important, especially here in Hawaii, where our communities are so tight knit. It's really building your network can help you in making those connections and finding people that can help you advance your personal and professional goals as well. And networking is also important because you get to meet people, as I mentioned, and by meeting people, you grow your perspectives, you gain perspectives about what other people's life journeys were, what motivated them, and it helps you reflect on your own journey as well. It also helps you open up to new opportunities, being able to introduce yourself, but also hold a conversation and connect with other people is a skill, but it does help you to find opportunities which may otherwise not be available to you had you not networked with that individual. And then overall, I think one of the great things that come from networking is this confidence that you build in yourself, your ability to talk about yourself. And that's something that's hard for many of us, but it's definitely a skill that you can develop. And, practicing these networking skills, even as students, can help you really articulate your career interests and be able to present yourself in a professional manner. And it's never too early to start working on these skills too. So let's talk about, how do you even find your network. So identifying and building your network can be daunting for some folks, but again, it's, being able to start at a certain place. Again, thinking about spontaneous opportunities or avenues to be able to start scheduling structured networking opportunities too. So where would you start? So you can start with your personal network, and your personal network is actually much larger than you can imagine, right? Um, each and every one of you has an existing network of contacts, right? In You can think about interpersonally, more immediately in your classrooms, right? There's your instructors, there's the grad assistant that's helping, teaching assistant that's helping, right? And that's a good start. So thinking about who you interact with on a daily basis, and for students, right, most commonly it's your instructors, and if you interact with graduate students, so that's part of your personal network and people that can help already build that relationship with. But in other personal networks can be from your family, your relatives who might have connections also, or friends of your family that you could lean on as a way to maybe even start practicing introducing yourself, what you're interested in, and what you may be looking for as ways to be able to advance your development too. You can also think about the organizations that you're part of, right? Your personal network can include those clubs, friends that you have in your clubs, or your, teammates as well. So there's a lot of opportunities to lean on what you already know, and people you interact with on a daily basis. So starting with your personal network is a good place to be. And then if you're trying to think, okay, so what else are opportunities for me to identify and build my networks? So as I mentioned, again, family, friends, classmates, parents of your classmates. For folks that might have current employment, right? You can think about who you work with, employers, co-workers. And then there's folks that might be alumni of the university, or alumni of certain programs, or alumni of honor societies or clubs that you're part of. So alumni are very willing to give back and willing to really support students in that way. So definitely lean on alumni as a network, a potential network for you. And then folks might be really involved in the community. So there are, religious groups, religious leaders that could be part of your network, as well as if you're engaged, like civically engaged. So your local politicians can also be an avenue that you could build your network in as well. And then on campus, as I mentioned, right, your professors, your teaching assistants, graduate assistants, and then any clubs or organizations that you have affiliations with. So, right, as I'm listing these, you're probably already thinking about, there are people that I could lean on or reach out to based off of your personal network and your extended networks as well. So how do you build your networks? There are so many different clubs and organizations on our campus, and that's definitely an opportunity to start building your networks. And so folks, you'll hear from Aaron in a little bit, but there's the Pre-Health Career Corps, and then I mentioned the Health Careers Opportunity Program, and there's so many different registered independent organizations that I know many of you are already a part of, the different associations related to your pre-health journey. There's also chartered student organization. So when I was an undergraduate student, I was part of Campus Center Board, and we did a lot of advocacy and civic engagement. And so that's where I started to build connections with our legislators to advocate for needs on our campus. And so leadership is also an opportunity through our chartered student organizations for you to network, not only with your peers, but also with faculty, staff, and the community as well. And then beyond organizations related to the university, again, I encourage you to think about those community organizations that you might be a part of that could serve as potential networks for you as well. And if anything, definitely get to know your professors. Your academic advisors can be great resources for you to be able to connect you with potential networks as well. And if able to, I also suggest attending seminars, conferences, and different meetings. I know during this pandemic, it's been more accessible to do these things, especially over Zoom. If traveling is a concern, or time commitments are a concern. So attending these seminars, conferences, and meetings can definitely be an opportunity for you all to even, direct message somebody that you meet in that conference or that meeting to get to know, and maybe see if they're interested in scheduling that structured networking opportunity where maybe you could set up a time to meet, so you get to learn about them, share a little bit about you, and so forth. So those are some things to think about as opportunities for you to build your network. And so networking is really about building those relationships, especially through gaining knowledge and advice. And so that's definitely one of the take-home messages here about why it's important to network. It's, again, to build your relationships and your connections, and so that you have people that you can lean on if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, if you're looking for a shadowing opportunity, if you're looking for someone to mentor you on a research project, or you might be getting ready to graduate and you're looking for a job as you're getting ready to take your gap year before getting into your professional program, right? Your networking can help, your networks can help you in finding those opportunities or being individuals that could support you moving forward as well. Okay, so we're gonna go through a quick activity here, and I'm gonna give you folks some time to think about how to get ready for these networking interactions that you might have. And I know that can be daunting, right? It's like, okay, there's somebody who did a really cool talk. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to reach out to them. Like, I'm a little bit nervous. And so what I wanted to do today is just do a really quick activity to help you learn about yourself. And what I'll ask you folks to do, so if you can maybe pull up a Word document or notes on your computer, or if you folks are like me and like to write things down, you can have a paper close by. And I'm going to ask you folks to take some time to participate in this activity. So what I'd like you folks to do is develop a 2 to 3 sentence synopsis of what you think you want to do career-wise, and what information you need from the individual that you're meeting to move forward with your decision or plan. So that's usually like the call to action or that ask of the person that you might be meeting with. And so, of course, part of this 2 to 3 sentence synopsis is introducing yourself, what you're currently studying, what career you might be interested in. And depending on who you're meeting with, that information that you need might change, but something to already think about as having that in your back pocket should this opportunity arise. So I'm going to go over some examples of what this would look like, and then I'll pause for a little bit and go back to this slide for as the directions to get and give you folks a few minutes to kind of jot some things down, so at least you can get started with having something that you can utilize should these networking opportunities come up. Okay, so here's our first example. Hi, my name is Michelle. I would like to do some type of work with animals. I read a bit about wildlife rehabilitation and it sounds interesting, but I'd like to know what other options there are. Do you know anyone who works with wildlife? So here's an example of a student who might be majoring in animal sciences, maybe thinking about going on to veterinary school, possibly, but they're really wanting to learn more about this field. So they haven't named that as a career just yet, but this could be an opportunity to explore more to help this student learn more about wildlife or get connected with somebody who knows about wildlife, right? So think about, again, what your interests are in. So the student, some type of work with animals, and then showing, maybe you read about something a little bit and have a working knowledge base about it. So you shows you've done your homework, and then don't be afraid to do that ask. In networking opportunities, that ask can really lead on to different connections that you may not have anticipated. And it's actually really nice to, hear from folks that they might know people interested in helping you or have expertise in this area. Okay, another example here. Hi, my name is Michelle. I've been hearing in the media issues about rat lungworm disease. I've read a bit about infectious diseases in Hawaii, but I'd like to know more. Do you know anyone who works with rat lungworm disease or related research projects? So I had to throw a little bit of public health in here since I am a public health graduate, but rat lungworm disease is also a big issue on Hawaii Island, where I'm from. And so similar to example one, right? Thinking about what you're interested in, where that's coming from. And then how that might relate to potential career, so infectious diseases maybe, or this person or the student's really looking for maybe a research mentor, right? So someone that's working in the research area around rat lungworm disease, maybe health education on ensuring individuals are cleaning their vegetables before consumption. Okay, so I'll give you folks about a minute or two to develop again a 2 to 3 sentence synopsis of what you think you want to do career-wise, what information you need to move forward with your decision or your plan or that ask. So again, that might change depending who you're meeting with, but a general ask might be helpful for you to get started. Okay, so hopefully folks have a short synopsis that is a good starting point for you. Again, I know these networking opportunities might spontaneously come up. So it's always good to have thought about this, about what you'd like to say, about what your career interests are, what you're studying, and then depending on who you meet or depending what the opportunity might be that comes up, at least you have this ready to be able to share so that it's not a missed opportunity that you wish you wish you had made a connection but wasn't quite sure what to say. I know I've had many situations like that, so I figured this would be a good activity for you all to again have this again in your back pocket and get started on preparing yourself for when these networking opportunities do arise. Okay, so networking again is a skill, so it's never too early to start. And you might stumble in the beginning, and then you'll find your flow and you find the way that works for you and how you introduce yourself, make connections, and follow up with individuals. So always, you want to make sure you keep it professional. Be a good listener. So practice that active listening skill when you're having conversations with others. You want to be able to reflect, to share that you know that you've heard what they said, and um, can represent that you are paying attention. And so that also goes back to keeping it professional. And you want to follow up, right? Always, if you have a potential connection and they say yes, go ahead and email me, make sure you do so, because then it shows that you're really invested in wanting to make that connection and make that relationship work. So you want to make it easy for the person you're wanting to network with, right? So being able to keep it professional, be a good listener, and then always follow up. And so you folks can get started if you have any interest in public health or learning about the field of public health in general. You can start with networking with me. If you want to follow up and get connected after today, feel free to reach out. My email is there, tagordam, tagordam@hawaii.edu. And so if you feel that I would be a benefit to your career goals, feel free to connect with me. And I look forward to your follow-up. But again, thank you, PAC, for this opportunity. I will now go ahead and turn it over to Erin.
Thank you, Michelle. I'll just share my screen. All right. Can everybody see that? Thumbs up? No. Okay, thank you. So my name is Aaron Joyle. I work at the Area Health Education Center. And what I'm going to be sharing with you folks today is about shadowing. So why do we shadow? Do we shadow for our resume, our CV? Do we shadow for our application? Do we shadow for experience? Understanding why you want to shadow is very, very important in actually pursuing some type or reaching out or networking, as Michelle would say, in order for you to shadow. So why do we shadow? Shadow helps you understand the profession that you choose. So if you're going into medicine, it's good to shadow someone in the medical field. Maybe if you want to work in a clinic, it's good to shadow in the clinic to gauge your actual interests in that particular field. Shadowing can also lead to other opportunities, as you may shadow a physician in a clinic and realize that I may not have liked what I was doing while I was shadowing a clinic, but that rad tech looked pretty fun, that job. And so it can lead to other opportunities. It can lead to other interests. So how do we get shadowing? So we went over why we shadow. How do we get shadowing opportunities? First, you want to analyze. So what do you want to shadow, or who do you want to shadow? Is it a family doctor you can network? Is it someone that you already know that can get your foot in the door? Or do you want to just Google search and see what type of profession you would want to shadow? And then you want to ask yourself, why do you want to shadow them? Is it because you want to learn more about opportunities? Is it because you want to put it on your resume? Is it because for the application process, you need some type of shadowing? And then lastly, you want to come in before you even call or set up a shadowing opportunity. You want to know what your expectations and your outcomes. What do you hope to achieve through this shadowing opportunity? Secondly, you want to ask. So we put a GNAP. GNAP stands for greeting, name, affiliation, and purpose. So first you want to greet them. You want to give them your name, your affiliation. My name is Aaron. I work for Area Health Education Center, and I am calling in order for an opportunity to shadow. Simple as that. Secondly, there is our pre-health career core that you can join 100% free. And we do, right now it's down, but when we are up and running, we do have shadowing opportunities. So with our shadowing opportunities, we will set you up one time with one profession. And we can do that up to 3 times. So we'll ensure that you will contact one of your professions that you want to shadow. We'll set it up, and then we'll meet and greet, and then you folks can set up a time with the professional that you want. The reason why we only do it once per professional is because we don't want to tie you into something that you may not even like. So if you do want to pursue more shadowing with that professional, we will ask that you make your own connections from there on out. If you shadow a nurse practitioner and realize that's not what I want to do, I want to go into PT, then you can come back to us, and then we'll set you up with a physical therapist, and then you can take it from there. So we do that for 3 different professions or 3 different people within a school year. You can also email them. The good thing about the internet right now is you can Google search, you can get their phone number, you can call them, you can email them. You can actually go and get your own shadowing. What we call blind calling is researching them, Googling them, and just calling them blindly and asking for an opportunity to shadow. So networking comes in really handy. If you do have a network of people or organizations that can get you shadowing opportunity, you can use that. That's easier. But if you do want to do a blind calling, that's totally fine. Just remember that in all shadowing opportunities, you may get turned down 9 out of 10 times. And so don't get discouraged. The medical professionals, they're busy. They may not have the capacity to take you on. So just keep calling or keep trying different avenues to get that shadowing opportunities and get as much as you can, right? So if you want to be a PT, shadow different types of PTs that work with different populations, so you understand fully what it's like to be a PT, and you also gain an understanding of what you really want to do and what field or subfield you want to be in and what population you want to work with. And then lastly, attend. Once you set up that shadowing opportunity, make sure you attend. And how do you act? So when shadowing, before, you want to confirm time, date, and location, and you want to go through any logistical challenges. Where do I park? Do I have to pay for my own parking? Is it employee parking only? Do I have to walk there? How long is it going to take if I take the bus? Right? All that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that you're on time and you're dressed professionally and you are on time early. We'll go through those in the next slides. And then after your shadowing opportunity, you want to thank them and send them a handwritten letter. So during your shadowing opportunity, you should arrive promptly. I suggest 15 minutes before your actual time that you schedule with them. You accurately represent your position and role. So know what you're gonna do and what you're able to do. Appreciate the limits. If you are only observing, you can only observe, they want you to observe, be thankful for that opportunity and do the best you can, learning from whatever you can and what you let them, what they let you do. Okay. Respect patients' rights. A lot of people, they get a little upset that patients don't want them in, or they get discouraged that patients don't want them in. The patient has a right for their own treatment. So if you're not able to go in, don't take it personally. Just sit on the side, be ready for the next, maybe go over your notes that you took beforehand for the other patients or whatever before that patient came up. Treat all patient and staff with respect, dignity, regardless of their age, gender, race, etc. Maintain strict confidentiality. So some places will have you go through a training, a HIPAA training. If you shadow through us, you will do a 1-hour HIPAA training. You want to maintain honesty and integrity with your interactions between the physicians, the supervisors, and the staff. Ensure patient safety. So if you are ill, you want to notify your health professional and say that you will not be coming in and you want to give them your reason for being absent. Report any concerns about while you're there. If you see any safety concerns or something that may not be safe for the patients or the physician, make sure you report that to whoever you're shadowing. Behave in an appropriate, professional, and courteous manner at all times. So, yeah. So while you're there, you don't want to accept patient invitations to engage in social or social media relationships. You want to dress and act professionally. Obviously, you do not want to abuse drugs or use alcohol while you're shadowing, and be aware of the following guidelines that your institution puts up for you. And that is basically it for our guidelines to shadowing. I would like to take this time to take any questions or that you may have. Sorry, it's a little fast. There's not too much interaction. So any questions?
We do have one question chat from Adrian Gomez. He's asking, when looking for shadowing, would going in person to ask increase the chances of finding an opportunity?
It wouldn't hurt. I mean, during this COVID, I don't know if they'll allow you in just to ask a question. If they're busy, they may not take you, or they may not hear you. And even if you get the staff, you leave a message with them. Pharmacy related shadowing through your program. Yes, we have all different types of professionals. So it's not just physicians, we have PTs that we can get in touch with. We have nurse practitioners, we have pharmacists.
I have another question, which says, when connecting with a physician who has agreed to let you to shadow them once COVID regulations allow, how much time with them is appropriate to ask for?
I would do depending on you want to be respectful to them and their time. They're taking extra time to get you into their facilities and taking extra time for you to actually follow them and shadow them. So whatever they will give you, you can take. Usually 4 to 8 hours is a good one session. If you plan on going multiple times, then you can break it up into 4-hour sessions. Sometimes you'll be there and there's nothing really exciting going on, so you may have to go back again. You don't want to be there for 8 hours and not really get to see anything. So depends. I would ask for as much time as you can, but be respectful to them and their time. So if they say, maybe they'll say like, oh, I can do 2 hours for this day. I mean, you would take that 2 hours.
The shadow program. Although this is, I guess, if COVID, dies down.
Yeah, so right now it's not up and running, but once you're a member of the Pre-Health Career Corps, you can just email any one of our staff and we'll get you an opportunity. So you can sign up through ahec.hawaii.edu/PHCC. One more thing, if you do plan on like having multiple shadowing opportunities, make sure you write that down on an experience log and you bring a small little tablet that you can write little notes on so you can remember, learn stuff and have some questions if you have questions, but try not to be so ask all your questions in between. Hold your questions till they ask, do you have any questions, or hold your questions to the end.
I know this question wasn't asked in the chat, but we did have some questions that we come up with prior to the meeting. So I think this would be helpful for everyone. How should someone approach a mentor and or professor to ask for letter recommendation?
Sure, I can take that one. So I think you want to make sure that you come prepared, right? So giving enough information to your professor about or instructor about why you're asking them to be a potential letter writer for you. Before that, right, you want to think about who you've built relationships with, because I think that's usually the hardest part when you think about letters of recommendation, that you build that connection, you build that relationship. So they might already be expecting you to ask them so that they can support you on your next journey. But you want to make it as easy as possible for the professor, instructor, someone who you're asking to be your letter writer. So just being prepared with all of the information of how they submitted, what do they need to do, what type of letter do you want them to prepare, how they can, what you'd like them to write about. And you just want to be authentic in your ask. And, they'll be honest with you if time is tight or if they may not be the best fit for what you're looking for to help you be a competitive applicant. So it's good to have like a list of folks that you could ask as potential writers.
Yeah, I'd second that. Give them enough time and make sure that someone that's going to write you a good letter recommendation.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, I guess this is another one for Aaron. In regards to the PHCC shadowing network, is there a time that we can expect for it to open up again? Like, do you have an estimation?
I do not at this moment. I really don't. We're not even back in the office yet, so it'll be, if you're a PHCC member though, it'll definitely be in our newsletter. Any other questions?
I guess another question that we were asked when we had people sign up for our presentation is, what are some common mistakes made when networking and how can we avoid these?
I think a big one is not networking. So I think, really utilize all of the opportunities that you have to start building connections with folks. I think, people don't network for different reasons. They're nervous, they're not sure where to start. If you start with your personal networks and build out from there, build your confidence and being able to share more about yourself. So I think that's the biggest one is people don't network. So I encourage you all to start early. The other piece is that I see is folks not being professional. So that's the piece that, you're building relationships, but you're also building your brand. You're introducing yourself, you're getting yourself out there. So you want to really be mindful of how you're presenting yourself to others. And nowadays, because of COVID, that's especially important because even virtually, you still have a presence too, right? So email communication, it's important to be mindful of how you're coming across. And even on your social media, right? What's there? What can people find about you? If you're connecting through LinkedIn or other social media type of platforms, making sure that your presence is professional as well. So just being mindful that when you're meeting people and you're encouraging to, others to meet with you, it's like, what is the brand of yourself that you're putting out there? So being mindful of that is important. I'm not sure if this is a common one, but another one that I hear of from folks is they're maybe shame or too shy to ask. Like they're like, oh no, they're too busy, so I'm not sure if they can help me. I say just ask because if they are busy, they'll let you know, but you don't want to make that assumption for that person because again, that connection can help you, can lead to so many different things that you don't know would still be there if you had not asked. So no shame.
Okay, we have another question in the chat. While shadowing, when you meet other physicians, is it appropriate to network with them and ask shadow with them as well? Do you know when is it, I guess, a good time to ask, the other physicians you potentially maybe like interacting with as well?
If there's time, I would say go ahead. If you can ask them if there's opportunities for you. I wouldn't just say, hey, I want to shadow you right in front of the person that you're shadowing. It might make them feel like you're not getting something from them. Getting their contact information and following up with an email would be the best, I would say. Getting their contact information and then setting up a time separately. So when you are shadowing, you're not looking for opportunities. You're open to everything, but you're not actively looking for someone else to shadow, right? You're focusing on taking in everything that you can from that person that you're shadowing, their tendencies, their daily routines, asking them questions when you have the opportunity to ask them questions, what their life is like, what their daily routine is at work. Do they have time for hobbies? That's what you should be focused on and taking notes on, not just, oh, I'm looking for someone else that I can shadow to boost my shadowing resume. I would be fully focused on that person that you're shadowing and trying to learn everything you can from that person.
And just to add real quickly, so let's say you have like a scheduled time with that physician that you're currently shadowing and that time ends and you've built that relationship with that physician, you can already ask them like, I'm looking for another opportunity afterwards. Do they recommend other physicians that they could reach out to? So use your first experience to help build others could be another way, another strategy moving forward from there too.
Networking, most important thing. Yeah. Networking will get you so much opportunities. And so it's great that you folks had this presentation by Michelle. I mean, it's a great presentation, and it's truthful. It goes a long way, especially in Hawaii, where everybody knows someone that knows someone else. Build your network.
Thank you, Aaron and Michelle. We have one more question in the chat. What's the best way to get started on volunteer clinical opportunities without any clinical experience?
I would say networking. Nah, Queens. Queens is one that I believe they opened up their volunteering opportunities. You don't need any clinical experience. They'll train you over there. And once you get your foot in there, then I mean, it's a good place. Queens is actually a good place because you could stay there and learn so much, because once you get done with your training, your general training, you get to go to different departments and learn from there. Did that answer your question? Or Cope Scholars is another one that you can get. HPH summer internships. I mean, any internships that you can get. Most volunteering opportunities, they won't really require you to have clinical experience in the past. It's just signing up for them and, interviewing well, which you probably had an interview prep. I don't know. Did they? Casey, did you guys?
For
Michael, did you
HPH?
no, interview workshop.
Oh, shit, I don't remember.
Yeah, signing up for opportunities like HPH, Cope Scholars. You can go on the Queen's website, volunteer opportunities. That's the best way. Anything else?
Do we have any more questions to ask our panelists for tonight?
If not, thank you very much for attending our session. Hope you learned a lot. Please complete the evaluation form in the chat.
Yes, please.
Have a safe night.
Thanks, everyone. Yes. And let us know if we can help in any way. So take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Aaron.